It's Monday, the 6th of May, 2024. Welcome to the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed, where we give you the top 5 business stories you need to know in just 5 minutes. I'm Michael Thompson, and good morning, Sean Aylmer.
Good morning, Michael.
Sean, 5 stories, 5 minutes. Let's get going. Got some big ones to get through today. Story number 1, the Reserve Bank Board meets tomorrow ahead of the federal budget next week. And while most economists don't think there'll be any change in the benchmark interest rate, the central bank may be more open to lifting interest rates later in the year.
At the moment, the Reserve Bank Board has a neutral bias on interest rates, but after recent high readings for inflation, that may well shift to a tightening bias. The central bank isn't against a bit of jawboning, using its voice and influence to pressure the economy to move in different ways without actually doing anything. The scare of saying it once again has a tightening bias might be enough just to keep inflation in check at the margins. Certainly, inflation is higher than the bank wants it, but Martin Place also knows that households are hurting. Retail sales and household spending data, along with commentary from both Woolies and Coles last week, just highlight how tough it is for many Australians at the moment.
Sean, just quickly, what about the budget next week? Because obviously there's always a lot of big spending measures usually in a budget. Is it likely to be inflationary?
Well, Federal Treasurer Jim Chalmers has continually said it won't be. And if that's the case, then it has to take more out of the economy than it puts in. So spending for cost of living relief needs to be offset in other areas. The budget is likely to be a combination of subsidies, tax breaks, cheap loans, relaxed foreign investment rules, all that sort of stuff. The cost of living measures, well, they're more likely to be all about the rejigged Stage 3 tax cuts. Also an announcement yesterday where 3 million former students will have their HECS debt reduced by an average of $1,200 as part of the federal government's cost of living package. That will be highlighted as well. In that instance, a graduate with a debt of $26,500 will have $1,200 wiped off their account. There's about $50 billion in HECS debt out there. So that's good news for former students. But that's the sort of stuff that the government are more likely to talk about.
Sean, story number 2, Macquarie Group's annual net profit fell 32% to $3.5 billion, lower than expected, as fewer asset sales and lower commodity prices hit the bottom line. But Sean, just how about this? When Macquarie's results and annual report come out, it's a little bit voyeuristic, isn't it? Because it's always good to check in on how much money people make. It used to be known as the millionaire's factory. And the question I want to ask you, is it still?
Well, they get paid well, but I suspect Macquarie's a pretty good employer because many people stay there for a long time. It's got to be more than money, surely. When it comes to the really well-paid, Nick O'Kane, the former head of commodities, made $57.6 million in the last Macquarie financial year. This last year, he made $1 million. That's on the back of a much poorer performance from Global Commodities. Also, he left the business, so he isn't eligible for profit share bonuses. Highest paid was Boss CEO Shamara Wickramanayake. She made $25.2 million. That was down 20% from the previous year, reflecting the drop in profits.
Story number 3, the surge in new car sales shows few signs of abating, with the number of vehicles sold in Australia hitting a record for the month of April.
Demand is strong and the global car manufacturing backlog is freeing up, meaning more vehicles can be delivered. Now, notably, Tesla sales in Australia fell during the month. Just over 2,000 Teslas were delivered, making it the number 10 ranked brand with a market share of just 2.1%. The Federal Chamber of Automotive Industries said 97,000 vehicles were delivered in April, up 18% from a year earlier. For the first 4 months of calendar 2024, more than 400,000 vehicles were delivered. That is an all-time high. What the figures really show, though, hybrid vehicles. People are flocking to hybrid vehicles rather than full electric vehicles. Hybrids and plug-ins make up 18% of new vehicle sales in April against just 7.5% a year ago. The Toyota RAV4, which of course comes in the hybrid version, it was the bestseller, followed by the Ford Ranger, Toyota Hilux and Ford Everest.
Story number 4 is absolutely incredible. Shareholders in lithium explorer AVZ Minerals face one of the biggest wealth wipeouts in share market history after management said it will delist from the ASX on May 13 as it battles for control of the world's largest hard rock lithium deposit, which is in Africa.
It's quite a tale. The Perth-based explorer has more than 21,000 shareholders, paper wealth of $2.8 billion, last traded in May 2022. AVZ Minerals is in dispute over ownership rights to potentially the world's largest lithium deposit in the Congo. Last week, the board said it won't seek to reinstate itself to the ASX. It blamed the delisting on the Democratic Republic of Congo government's failure to comply with court orders and multiple other legal battles it has with the Chinese and Congolese mining rivals for control of this tenement in Congo's southwest. AVZ's market valuation hit $4.6 billion in April 2022 on hopes that it would secure this license to this deposit. It fell, and a month later, it hit that $4.6 billion. It was down to $2.8 billion when it went into a trading halt. Now, the company has about $4 million in cash, but it's got a bunch of legal disputes, so it's quite possible there's no value left in it. If that's the case, shareholders have lost their money.
Ouch. Last one, story number 5. The Berkshire Hathaway annual general meeting took place over the weekend, and most of the interest was around who legendary investor Warren Buffett thinks should succeed him.
The 93-year-old, who began investing when he was 16, that was 1946, has anointed CEO Greg Abel to pretty much take over, though he warned that when the time eventually comes, he might come back and haunt Mr. Abel if he does anything differently. We also found out at the meeting that Berkshire's cash pile is now $189 billion. It's got about $336 billion invested in equities. When asked why he isn't deploying more of the cash, Mr. Buffett said, "I don't think anybody sitting at this table," referring to the board table, "I don't think anyone sitting at this table has any idea of how to use it effectively." Pretty frank. He also added that getting more than 5% from government bonds is a pretty good return. It was the first AGM without Mr. Buffett's longtime business partner, Charlie Munger. He died last November, aged 99.
All right, there we go. The top 5 business stories in 5 minutes. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Michael.
It's Monday, the 6th of May, 2024. Remember to hit follow on the podcast. If 5 minutes isn't enough, you can find our longer daily show called Fear and Greed, wherever you listen to podcasts, and head along to fearandgreed.com.au as well and sign up for our weekly free newsletter. It comes out every Wednesday. I'm Michael Thompson, and that was the Fast 5 Business News by Fear and Greed. Have a great day.